Hey, I'm Ray Hudson, and you are, I don't know who you are, but you're listening to Blaugrana Graham. Don't be like them kids in the Blair Witch Project and go away, all right?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Driven Shot podcast. We are back. We took a week's break in solidarity with the other companies and clubs around the world that were standing against online abuse. But we are now back, and we hope you've missed us. We're back. We're going to talk about a few things about Femení and their incredible performance last night. We're going to talk about Barca B as well. We played yesterday. We're going to talk about a little bit about the first team and also a little bit about the next season and what's ahead. But first, Joav, how are you doing? It's been a little while.
As you said, we took a break in solidarity, and also last week we had some technical difficulties. So yeah, it's been 2 weeks without this podcast. It has been a little bit weird having like this mini break, but yeah, awesome to be back.
Yeah, it's really nice to be back, and I mean, I hope that we'll see a lot of interaction in the chat today. I mean, of course, always remember that you can, and you are. We encourage you to always get your questions and your opinions in the live chat, as we will go through them and we will discuss them and we'll talk about them as this chat goes on. So if you have anything to say, now is the time to say it. But yeah, as Joav mentioned, last week we did have some technical difficulties, but you fixed those now, right?
Yep, totally fixed. No problem now.
Awesome. Because the issue essentially was that I couldn't hear Joav, so if I can't hear him, you're not going to be able to hear him. So that's just not going to work.
No good quality podcast right there.
Yeah, we fiddled around with it for like, half an hour?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just look at it later.
Yeah, at some point we were just like, okay, we're half an hour in and nobody's going to be listening to us right now. So we'll just like postpone for next week.
Yeah. But yeah, luckily we are back and we are here. And it feels good to be back, man. What have you been up to for the past 2 weeks, like with regards to everything?
Well, I was just like remembering, looking back at all the news that we haven't covered in like Barcelona in the past few weeks. Yeah. I mean, we had like the whole LaLiga race still being active for Barcelona to just like being over. We had like the possible signing of Kun Agüero as well. Memphis Depay also coming very close. Barca B getting into a playoff situation. Barca Femení also getting into the final and obviously winning the Champions League. First time in the history of the club. And now also, I don't know, so many situations in the club that I feel like, okay, we have so much to talk about. And also, I mean, let's hope that the chat also gives us like the topics that they want us to hear about or want to hear about. But I mean, 2 weeks is a long time for Barcelona and the news especially.
Yeah, I mean, it's been there's been a lot. There's been a lot to cover, and it's just a lot to take in, because even just yesterday, Barca B played first, and then you had Barca v Celta, and you could just catch a snack break, and then Barca Femení had their final in Gothenburg. Yep. And I mean, I was commentating on those both those games on what's it called, on Barca's official Twitch channel, and you were commentating on them, I believe, here too.
Yep.
On Blaugrana TV, and so there's just been a lot going on in Barcelona, and I mean, yes, I know a lot of people are disappointed when it comes to Barca v Celta yesterday. Because I know the thing is as well is I know in a lot of people's eyes, Celta is like, oh man, they're a small team. How do you lose to that team? But they're not a small team. They're in the top end of the table. They have bounced back from what's been a very turbulent period for them. And I know a lot of people don't like him, right? But Denis Suarez has been one of the main reasons for why Celta have been as good as they have. Brais Mendes recently signed a new contract. He's been in really good form for them. Fran Beltran has been holding down that defensive midfielder spot. And Santi Mina is rejuvenated again. Iago Aspas, influential as always.
Iago Aspas.
He's Iago Aspas, right? So they have a very strong team, and I don't think people give them enough credit for that. So, yes, Barca lost yesterday, and yes, that means that the league mathematically is over in terms of the title, but Barca can still get second place depending on Real Madrid's results and Atleti's results. But as things stand, it does seem like Atleti are going to run away with it, and quite frankly, I would rather see Atleti win it than Real Madrid. So, that works for me. Also, I love Luis Suarez, so if he wins it, then I'm gonna be happy for him. And I think
the lesser evil wins.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So, I mean, it's been a lot. It's been a lot, and I think you might as well get the negative stuff out of the way. Barca v Celta. What do you think of the game? What do you think of everything that happened in that game?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think it's coming like sort of something that you expect in the last few games. I was thinking about it like before we even began the podcast. I was like, okay, at a certain point of the league run and all that, it seemed as if Ronald Koeman actually turned around the team, and the comebacks were being made by Barcelona and not on Barcelona. So I remember the match against Granada, I think, was like the peak of that situation in which Barcelona could come back from a pretty bad result. But now it seemed like in the past few games in LaLiga, it seemed that it like came back to haunt them, because how many games were there? Like 2 matches in which they were leading at halftime, and then they simply just let the lead go, either tying with what was it, with Levante.
Levante was a 3-3, yeah.
Yep, and well, yesterday losing against Celta. So I don't know. I think it's something that probably either Ronald Koeman doesn't really have good management of a lead, or just the players don't really like have that energy to keep up now in these final few games. So I mean, it seemed like something that it became inevitable yesterday, because they were playing really well in the first few minutes of the match, and they seemed to be in good situation to even go 2-3-0 before the halftime. But then the second half starts, and one shot, one goal, as it has been in the past few games. And after that, it was just like Barcelona was completely, I don't know, off balance. Then I think Ronald Koeman went back to the 4-3-3 and once again unbalanced the whole team. And then it was just like a goal in which nobody expected to happen. I think not even Santi Mina expected the ball to just fall to his feet. But I don't know. It seemed like something that either a team was too tired and fatigued to actually work it out, or Ronald Koeman doesn't really have a good management of a lead.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to say. I mean, because again, I think Barca played really well, everything considered, especially in the first half. I think Barca had had control of the game and definitely looked like the team that was going to win. It's one of those things where it's, I think regardless of whether Barca do manage to get a second place spot or whether they win the league or not, I still think this season has been very, very good overall. Because you got to remember as well, Barca have had a lot of injuries. Ansu Fati has been injured. Coutinho has been injured on and off. Piqué. Araujo has also had some injuries. Mingueza had to go play with Barca B, which we'll talk about too.
Busquets, his facial injury.
Yeah, exactly. I think also De Jong has had an injury at some point throughout the season, didn't he?
Yep, and Pedri just being played like nonstop.
Yeah. Dest also had an injury. Braithwaite as well.
All over the pitch.
All over the pitch. And it's not easy. Dembele is slowly getting back into form. And I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, man, it's over. It's over. No, he's done well. He's done. I mean, when he was on the pitch yesterday, which for me, I think maybe he should have stayed on because of how the game was developing. I think once you take him off, especially if you go back to a 4-3-3, you kind of lose a bit of the edge that Dembele adds. Because, yes, Serginho Dest is good one-on-one, but Dembele seemed to have had, I believe it was Aaron Martin, he had him on lock. He knew exactly how to get past him. And once you figure out that formula, it's easy enough to reuse it and alter it a bit. Whereas for Dest, he had to figure out, okay, how do I get past this guy? And exactly what do I do? Because I can't push up too much because I have to defend. Whereas maybe for Dembele, his defensive duties weren't as prominent. So you could get away with not striking back as much as Dest had to. So that's also one of the things where I'm thinking maybe Dembele should have stayed on. Also due to the lack of I would say more creative options on the pitch, on the bench. I mean, Trincao is a creative player, and I do like him. But I think this game, maybe Dembele would have been the right man to stay on for 90 minutes. And then if you are going to take anyone off, Pedri was taken off, but then maybe Axe, an Elisha or Busquets for just to keep Dembele on, and then maybe swap for Dest that way. But I mean, again, I know a lot of people are very disappointed with the result. I personally think that the season has been very good overall, and I think there still are positives to take away from this game against Celta. Because, I mean, yes, Barca lost, but if you look at the changes that were created in the first half and the way they managed to keep Celta quiet, they managed to keep Denis Suarez, Beltran, and Brais Mendez very, very quiet, which is not an easy thing to do because those three have been very active for Celta recently. Mm-hmm. And the rest of the team, I mean, Nolito didn't see too much of the ball in the first half. Aspas, sometimes you even forgot he was on the pitch, right? Santi Mina got that goal out of nowhere. And when you think about that, I mean, yeah, it's easy enough to say, Barca just aren't playing well. No, they are playing well. Santi's goal was very strange. It's a dubious goal. Good finish. But I think what happened was, well, watching it on the replay at least, it seemed like Ter Stegen's line of vision was blocked by Piqué because Piqué was in the way, and maybe that's why Ter Stegen couldn't see where it was going, and by the time he saw it, it was too late. I don't know. That's my assessment of it. I might be absolutely wrong, but that's how I saw it. Overall, I think it's been a very good season. It is a transition season. I mean, we've seen a lot of youngsters in this team. We've had, just to mention a few, Serginho Dest, we've had Oscar Mingueza come through from La Masia, and Araujo as well. At first, we had Todibo too. Todibo was then sent to he's in Benfica now, isn't he?
No, he was in Benfica, then he came back to Barcelona, then he went for Nice, where he's playing really good.
He's in Nice now too. Oh, yeah, you're right. I think it's because I got him confused with Marlon Santos, who went to Nice too. So I was like, no, I don't think. But yeah. You had him as well. I've got Pedri, Elias is getting playing time. We saw Riqui Puig finally get 45 yesterday, which I know a lot of people were happy to see, and I think he played well. I was talking about Riqui with Dan Hilton, who I was commentating with yesterday. And I'll be on his podcast later today. Well, we'll record it later today. We'll talk about Barcelona Femení and stuff too. But the point is, we're talking about Riqui Puig, and we're talking about how when you compare him to Pedri is just maybe a step ahead in a sense in terms of the fact that his positioning is a bit more considerate to what's around him. So if he sees that, like for Riqui, he might just push up. Riqui might just push up and try and press the striker or press the goalkeeper, and that's good. But he'll leave some space in behind him. And we were talking about this, and the conclusion was that yes, he does leave some space in behind him. But the reason Pedri doesn't do that is not necessarily that Pedri is better at the awareness around him, but more the fact that Pedri has played more with the players around him. So if Pedri pushes up, he knows that Busquets is going to occupy this position, De Jong is going to occupy that side. For Riqui, he's coming in. He hasn't really played that much with these players aside from in training. And so where Pedri has a more natural sense of where these players are going to be, Riqui has to kind of figure that out on the fly. And it's not easy to do that when you're getting 45 minutes pretty much one time in a season and then getting 10, 20 every third, fourth game, right?
I mean,
so overall, I think Riqui did well yesterday.
Yep. Also, I think that something that's really different is that Riqui is so explosive. I mean, he receives the ball with a player on his back, and he somehow turns and just runs like a 10-meter dash, like super fast, and then looks for an incredible pass. It's something that you really don't see Pedri do, possibly because he understands more the role. Then he needs to be like more of he receives a pass, he plays it like one touch and all that. But Riqui really likes to have the ball on his feet, and he likes to be that explosive player that does something different for Barcelona in the midfield. And I would love to see them play like together with Busquets, possibly, because I mean right now the midfield is Busquets, De Jong, and Pedri. That's basically the midfield. But at some point, it would be awesome to see either Ricky substituting Busquets and Frankie De Jong playing in that position, or being instead of Frankie, to see how they actually play together. Because I really like Ricky, how he came on, and he's so explosive and he's so aggressive. Even though he's really, really small, he goes after the biggest players like with no fear whatsoever. He goes to press them, and sometimes, as you said, he goes to press the goalkeeper when he isn't even the closest player to him. So that's something that really. It's something different, I think, in the Barcelona midfield, because De Jong has had an amazing season, but I think he's still more calm. He knows what he has to do. He knows what he can't do now.
Yeah.
And you won't see Busquets pressing the goalkeeper anytime soon. So I think it's awesome that Ricky really does try and do something different, and not just be like the copy of Pedri. So because he does bring like his natural instinct, as you said, but also like his like what his gut tells him to do. I think he just thinks about it a second, like, okay, here I go, and to just go like running off behind the ball like a little kid.
Yeah, and I mean that's one of the things where like it's good to have that sort of X factor in a player, and I genuinely do believe that if he gets a chance in tandem with whoever midfielders he would be most compatible with in that midfield, I think he could be really good for Barcelona. I definitely think he has a bright future with the club, but I also think that obviously that depends on Koeman and Schroeder and what they decide, and also how he fits in with the rest of the midfield. I'm
sorry, I was just gonna say. You have to remember that he's like favored by Laporta, so he has like the presidential guard right now surrounding him. Like he won't be leaving anytime soon the club. So that's also really good to see that Laporta really does see the potential in him. And I mean, I hate the comparison. So he's a new Xavi, he's a new Iniesta, but I do think like Laporta sees something in him, like remembering him of the good old days where he was a president before, and he could see Ricky as an important part of the club in the future.
That is very possible. And instead, that explosiveness around him, that X factor, that edge that he has, is different from any other midfielder in the roster. And I mean, I do hope that we see that taken advantage of. If not this season, then at least in the preseason.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, talking about the preseason, we've got a few players that are coming back from injury. Hopefully, in Ansu Fati and Coutinho. Dembele has slowly managed to not get injured every other game, which is great because the medical staff have paid a lot of attention to making sure that doesn't happen and making sure his muscles don't overheat too much and stuff like that. So that's great. And I think the next season will be a very, very interesting one. Of course, I know the biggest question for people is whether or not Koeman is staying or leaving. I think that's something that we'll have to wait out and see. I personally do see him staying, and I think he has done a good enough job to stay. I do think he's merited it. I mean, if you really consider what he's done with this team, considering what has happened with the pandemic and also the players he's had at his disposal, despite all the injuries, I think he's done an excellent job. Yes, he hasn't won the league, but seriously, when we were in 8th place a couple of months ago, who in their right mind thought Barca would at least be challenging for the title? Nobody. Yep. Nobody thought that. Everyone thought, oh, we're lucky if we get Europa League or Champions League, right?
Yeah, I do remember those comments.
Yeah, a lot of people used to say that, right? And think about that. Put that in perspective. Don't say, oh, Barca lost to Celta, Barca drew to Levante. Those are good teams. That's why they're in LaLiga. Yes, would Barca have drawn and lost against them 7 years ago? Probably not. But that's also because that's because Levante and Celta are not the Levante and Celta they used to be. They've improved a lot. And Celta are playing with a certain style of play that we saw yesterday, and they played well. Levante took the game by the grasp of its neck in the second half and did what they had to do. And Levante have always been an opponent, well, at least in recent years, that's troubled Barcelona. That's not new. But it's because people read names like Levante and Celta and Getafe and Granada and think, oh, these are small teams. They belong in the Segunda, which is just not true. It's just not true. I'm sorry. It's just not true. These are teams that constantly challenge the top part of La Liga. And these are teams that always find themselves in the top 10 at least.
And if it does happen that they go back to the second division, they come back right next year. So they don't even stay that long in La Segunda División. They come back just like bouncing back the next year. So, I mean, yeah, it does. They do have their merit because you can't also say that, Barcelona they do have to win all those matches, but you can't also say that they're entitled to win those matches, because at the end of the day, whatever happens in the pitch is what defines the score. And also, I mean, you can't say that Levante is a bad team, and you can't say that Barcelona is an excellent team. Both teams can have good and bad days, as we saw basically in the last few games. And also, I mean, I was thinking about is like, okay, so Ronald Koeman right now is like, everyone's talking about if he's going to stay or if he's going to basically leave. And and also I was like, well, let's also take into consideration he was the manager that actually took up the risk and the challenge of being at the head of Barcelona. Because if it had still been Quique Setién, everybody would have been asking for his head as well. So it was a no-win situation unless you won basically the treble for Barcelona that nobody ever thought that was going to happen. But it is something that can happen for the Barça Femení. So also that's really exciting for Barcelona to have the first team in history to have both the women and the men to win a treble. So that's really exciting for Barcelona as an institution.
Yeah, it is. It is. And as you mentioned that, I think it's a very good segue to talk about Barça Femení. Because, yeah, of course, they won the Women's Champions League final last night, against Chelsea in Gothenburg. And it's worth mentioning that Chelsea is one of the biggest teams in women's football right now.
Yeah, but they're leading the Premier.
Yeah, and this is a team that's conceded, 10 goals all season? In the league, and they scored over 50. I mean, I believe that I'm pretty sure their goal difference was like 59 in the league with really, really solid teams. And the fact that Barca managed to keep really, really good talents in that Chelsea side, really, really good players, potential Ballon d'Or contenders, keep those as quiet as they did, is a testament to what Luis Cortés has done with this team, and it shows how good of a team this is. And yes, winning the final was the ultimate goal after the defeat in Lyon. Well, the defeat to Lyon, the 4-1 defeat in the final in 2019. But this is the new era in Barça Femení for sure.
Yep. For those that haven't tuned in later, normally on Mondays that we have also the podcast in Spanish. For those that don't speak Spanish, you probably aren't that interested. But we always talk about how it's been a process for Barça Femení. It isn't something that just happened all of a sudden this season. It's been a process, and finally the whole process and Barcelona have also trusted Luis Cortés with the process, and finally it's given the results. But it's something that's been in the works for many years. They suffered a lot also, Barça Femení, but this season it just became really obvious in LaLiga just how far and above they went with the team that they've constructed. And now, as well as you said, the ultimate goal was the Champions League. But to win the Champions League like they did, and also to eliminate PSG, that was also one of the biggest rivals, to go into the finals and basically one of the favorites to also win the title. And then, as you said, just basically nullify the whole Chelsea team was also an amazing milestone and incredible thing for Barcelona as an institution, not just the Barça Femení team.
Yeah, it was. And I mean, again, as you said, you're talking about a team this is a historical win. You know, this is not just the fact that we want to bounce back from the 4-1 loss to Lyon. This is the first Champions League trophy for the women in Barca's history, in the history of the club, right? And as you said, it's also the first club to win a men and a women's Champions League, at least if you compare Barca to Chelsea, right?
Yep.
So that in itself is just outright incredible. And I think when you look at how Barca played, I'm seeing some comments here. I will go through them as well. It was a joy to watch. The pressure on and off the ball, the way they circulated the ball, every pass was very intricate, very weighted. And the attention to detail in the style of play, I think, was what was most impressive to me. You see Ahmed SM84 here saying that he thinks what Koeman did in 2021 was incredible. He deserves a chance to start fresh next season. About what we were talking about earlier, and yes, I do agree. I really do agree. I think he does deserve to get at least a transfer window to get his ideas in.
to have money to spend just basically to start.
Exactly. And hopefully that way we will see the best version of Ronald Koeman's Barca. And as far as Femení, I'm at SM84. Thank you very much for tuning in, by the way. If you're enjoying this, please do not forget to follow us, drop a like, retweet, share, all that good stuff, as it helps us continue to grow, and it helps us know what part of this podcast you like. It says the dominance we saw from Barca's women's team reminded me of Pep's dream team. They were a joy to watch. Yeah, I saw a lot of similarities being drawn yesterday with regards to Barca's, Pep's team and then this team. And yeah, I mean, they played you had like, as soon as they lost the ball, instant press as a unit. It's not just headless pressing, it's instant pressing as a unit for a couple of seconds, hoping to get the ball back. And if you don't get the ball back, just cut off the passing lanes and then eventually intercept, pass it around a bit, then go on, just go on the attack. So yeah, overall, really, really, really good stuff. And it was a joy to watch, man. I don't know what else to say, because it really was.
Yep. And also, I mean, now they can focus on La Copa de la Reina, which is also the cup that they have pending. They did eliminate Sevilla in one of the first phases. So now I don't know who they're up against. I don't remember the team, but they can now face head on, because, as we said, in LaLiga they were dominant. They won with like 5 matches to go because of so many pending matches as well, because of the Champions League. Mm-hmm. And they won with like a goal difference of 100 plus 100 and I don't know how many goals. So it's just like utter dominance of Barcelona against the whole other teams of Femení.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was awesome to watch. It's awesome to see something like that happening in the Barcelona institution. And now, as you said, it's possibly the beginning of a new era for Barcelona. And it's something that we were commenting about in the other podcast. Like, okay, so now it's even more exciting to follow like Barca B and Barca Femení and the first team at the moment. But I mean, it's going to be awesome when all 3 fronts are really at the top of the peak of their form. So it's going to be a really interesting phase for Barcelona to see what Ronald Koeman can do next season. What the Barca Femení, if the Barca Femení can keep this up, let's hope that they can. And let's see how also Barca B will compete in the new, what's the name of the division? I don't remember.
I think that.
I don't remember, but it's like the 3rd division, but it's a better quality and better quality than the one that we're competing in already. So it's an exciting moment for Barcelona right now in all transition period. But possibly the Femení period has been more successful, or is seeing the results at the moment. But let's hope they can continue that way for all 3.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And I mean, yes, Barca B did lose to Murcia on penalties yesterday and will not be promoted to the Segunda, but a lot of positives to take from this season. I mean, Rey Manaj just it looks like he's finally found form. Yes, he missed a penalty, but he also got a brace. So he had a good game. And I think players like Conrad de la Fuente as well, very, very impressive as usual. So yeah, a lot of positives to take going into next season, whether you want to follow Barca B, whether you want to follow Barca's first team or Barca Femení. I'm seeing questions here about Barca's futsal team. We might actually try to cover that here on the podcast soon as well, just to kind of give you all fronts. How much in depth will it go? I don't know yet, because
Barca Universe now, the podcast, just basically.
The Barca cinematic universe. But yeah, no, we'll try and give you a bit of heads ups on that team as well. Thank you for the suggestion, David Sanchez. But yeah, I think on that note, I think we're pretty much done for now. Of course, if you just tuned in, you can rewatch this on our YouTube channel, Dogmonogram TV, and it will also be on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you like to listen to podcasts. If you've listened to it through there and you enjoyed this, do feel free to follow us or drop a rating. Subscribe, whatever the word is on that platform, because I know on Apple Podcasts, I know you can drop a rating, 1 to 5 stars with a comment. So if you're enjoying this, or if you absolutely hate this, please do let us know. And as always, if you have any questions, you can always drop them here on the live chat when we are going live. If you have any questions that you want to make sure that we get in, but you don't have time to tune in, you can always send them to us on Twitter. You can use the hashtag TDSLive, so D-Driven Shot Live. And we'll deal with them as the show goes on. David Sanchez says, awesome show. Thank you, guys. Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much
man.
for tuning in, and thank you so much for enjoying this. If you would like to support the Bloganagram brand, you can always buy some merchandise at the Bloganagram shop. That's bloganagram.com/shop. The link is down below. And if you use the code TDS Live, you get 15% off your next order as a thank you exclusively to our podcast listeners. I think that's pretty much it. Follow us on our social media. You can see my name tag is there, and Joav's name tag is right there. And also all the links to everything that we do is down below in the description. Joav, any last words? And also, we've got a Spanish podcast on the network too now, right? On the Blogger Podcast Network.
Yeah, it goes live in about 1 hour and a half after this one. So every Monday, and that's one especially for the Spanish speakers or whoever understands Spanish. And basically, the podcast is more focused on Barça Femení and Barça B. So normally I'm there analyzing alongside Jean Barriage and Xavi, another editor. And well, they're both like encyclopedias of those two teams. So if you really enjoyed, please be sure to tune in. And especially today, it will be a special episode because of the Barça Femení win, obviously. So please sure to check it out. It's called Blaugrana in Johan, in honor of the Stadium Johan Cruyff, in which Barça B play, as well as Femení. So please be sure to check it out.
We'd love to have you. So I think that's it for this time. Joav, as always, thank you for being alongside me. I've been Omar Hawwash. He's been Joav Pedraza. Thank you very much for tuning in. We go live every Monday at 4 p.m. Central European time. And David's asking, what's that show? That show is, as Joav said, it is a Spanish podcast covering Barça Femení and Barça B. It's called Blaugrana and Johan, and it goes live on Twitter too, on our YouTube channel that I can see you're watching through on Blaugranagram TV. So if you've got notifications on for any of those, you will not miss it. We've also got a Spanish Twitter account, so you can follow that if you want to. Link to that is also down in the description below. So that should cover everything. And on that note, we'll see you next Monday. Thank you very much for tuning in. On that note, roll the outro by Phil Shane, and we'll see you next time.
My name is Phil Shane, and you've been listening to The Driven Shot, hosted by Omar Hawwash and the Blaugranagram news outlet. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope you have a wonderful day, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.